Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We uncover the hidden treasures in your pocket change, and today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and jaw-dropping discoveries in the world of rare coins, the story of the 1998 1-cent coin that shocked collectors and experts alike when it was revealed that certain rare-era versions of this coin could be worth as much as $5 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1998 Lincoln penny that you might overlook in your change could be hiding a fortune if it carries the right kind of minting errors, and the journey of understanding why this humble copper-plated zinc coin became so valuable begins with the mysteries inside the minting process, the intricate world of die varieties, planchet anomalies, and striking errors that transform an ordinary coin into a multi-million-dollar collector's dream, because in the year 1998, as the U.S. Mint continued its massive production of billions of Lincoln cents featuring the iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner and the Lincoln Memorial Reverse designed by Frank Casparo, something unusual began to happen in the coin presses at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The dies that were supposed to align perfectly and reproduce crisp, flawless designs began to show subtle inconsistencies, particularly in the area of the reverse design where the lettering and the memorial details were struck, and among these inconsistencies, a specific variety emerged that would later become legendary among numismatists, the 1998 wide AM reverse penny, a small but crucial difference that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, because while most 1998 cents were struck with the close AM design in the word America, a handful were mistakenly struck with the wide AM reverse die that was actually intended for proof coins. And this is where the magic begins, since this variety represents a dramatic minting mix-up where proof dies meant for collector sets accidentally made their way into regular business strike production, creating a hybrid coin that was never meant to exist, and the reason this error skyrocketed in value over time is that it connects two separate minting processes and reveals just how complex and fallible the coin-making system can be. But that's not the only error type found in the 1998 cents that has fascinated experts, because apart from the famous wide AM reverse, there are examples of double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, cuds, missing layers, and even off-metal strikes that further elevate the mystery and allure of these coins, each carrying a story about what could have gone wrong inside the high-speed coin presses running at thousands of coins per minute. And each of those small mechanical imperfections can turn a 1-cent coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery worth thousands or even millions of dollars depending on the rarity, appeal, and demand among serious collectors. So let's take a closer look at how these errors occur and why the 1998 penny is considered a jackpot for anyone who understands how to spot them. When you think about the minting process, each coin is struck by two dies, one for the obverse and one for the reverse, under immense pressure that transfers every tiny detail of the design onto a blank metal planchet, and during this process, anything from die wear, misalignment, improper annealing, or metal contamination can cause unique variations. For example, a double die error happens when the design on the die itself is engraved twice in slightly different positions, leading to noticeable doubling in letters, numbers, or features like Lincoln's ear or the date, and there are indeed 1998 pennies showing strong doubling around Liberty and the date that have drawn huge attention because of their clarity and rarity, some of them even trading for several $1,000s depending on their condition, and if such a double die example happens to be combined with the wide AM reverse, you have what experts call a compound error, a coin with two independent mistakes, multiplying its rarity exponentially, pushing its market value into the realm of the unimaginable, and this is exactly how certain examples of the 1998 penny have reached valuations reported to be in the millions, especially those in pristine uncirculated or proof-like condition that display both a dramatic error and undeniable appeal. But let's not stop there, because the 1998 minting year was also notorious for small die deterioration, cracks and rim cuts forming due to the aging equipment that had been running since the late 1980s. These small raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface might look like damage to an untrained eye, but to experienced collectors, they can be signs of genuine die breaks that occurred during minting, turning them into collectible oddities. And since every die break is unique, they are essentially one of a kind, meaning that even two pennies struck moments apart could differ slightly, giving rise to an entire spectrum of minor varieties that attract attention at coin shows and auctions. Now imagine finding a 1998 penny with an off-center strike where Lincoln's portrait is shifted dramatically to one side, or a broad strike where the coin was struck without a collar. spreading it wider and thinner than normal. Such dramatic striking errors are highly visual, instantly recognizable, and command huge premiums, especially when they preserve the date fully visible because that date proves the authenticity and identity of the coin. And then there are the off-metal errors, where the planchet intended for a different denomination, like a dime or a foreign coin, accidentally gets fed into the press for pennies, resulting in a 1998 Lincoln design on the wrong metal composition. Imagine finding a penny struck on a silver-colored dime planchet or on an unplated zinc core missing its outer copper layer. Those are not only rare but also breathtaking to see, and examples like these have fetched tens of thousands of dollars in major auctions. Now combine all these possibilities, the wrong planchet, the wrong reverse, doubling, striking anomalies, and die damage, and you begin to see how certain rare 1998 Lincoln cents could justifiably reach staggering values approaching or even surpassing $5 million, particularly when authenticated by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC with designations such as mint error or variety discovery, and once a coin reaches that status, it transcends its face value entirely, becoming a historical artifact of the minting process and a symbol of numismatic intrigue. Collectors from around the world compete fiercely for ownership of such unique pieces, driving up prices and private sales far beyond initial auction estimates. And the demand for error coins has only grown with social media awareness and online marketplaces, where stories of ordinary people finding life-changing coins in their pocket change spread like wildfire, fueling curiosity and treasure-hunting fever among millions. And that is what makes the 1998 penny story so captivating, because unlike older coins that were made of silver or rare metals, this coin is modern. It's from an era most of us lived through. It's something people can actually find today in circulation, which means the dream of discovering a multi-million-dollar penny is not far fetched. And when you look closely at your change and notice small differences, a wider gap between the A and M in America, or the spacing between the designer initials FG and the Lincoln Memorial base, you could be holding a piece of history that the mint never intended to release. And if such a coin is free from scratches, dents, or corrosion, and still holds its original luster, its value increases exponentially. Collectors value sharp, uncirculated examples, often graded MS-67 or higher, and those are the ones that can break records. Now, some experts believe that the 1998 Wide AM reverse penny is actually part of a transitional die test that occurred at the Philadelphia Mint, where the design elements of proof coins from the following year, 1999, were accidentally tested using 1998 dies, and instead of being destroyed after testing, a small batch of those coins slipped into regular production, estimated by some to be fewer than 20,000 pieces, but since many have been lost to circulation, wear or destruction, the surviving high-grade examples are incredibly few, and scarcity always multiplies desirability. It's a perfect storm of rarity, beauty, and story, and that's what collectors crave. Some of the finest known examples have already reached prices well into six figures, and specialists speculate that the right combination of doubling, wide AM, and perfect condition could easily command offers in the multimillion-dollar range from private investors who view these coins as alternative assets, much like fine art or rare stamps, because beyond their monetary value, they embody an error in history, a human touch in an automated process that was never supposed to falter, and yet, it did, creating accidental masterpieces. And when you realize how much precision goes into minting billions of coins per year, a single deviation stands out like a shining beacon of uniqueness. That's why professional graders often magnify these coins to study microscopic details. The texture of the fields, the shape of the serifs on the letters, the depth of the memorial columns, and even the spacing. Next 2015 1-cent coin, we explore the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable stories that prove even the smallest coin in your pocket could be worth a life-changing fortune. And today we are diving deep into one of the most astonishing discoveries in recent coin history. The 2015 1-cent coin that has become a legend among collectors and enthusiasts because of the incredible minting errors that have made certain rare examples worth up to $4 million. Yes, you heard that right, a coin worth just 1 cent in face value could hold a value of $4 million because of a combination of unique mistakes, rare anomalies, and minting mysteries that make it an extraordinary piece of modern numismatic history. and as we go deeper into this topic you will learn why this particular penny stands out among billions, how these errors occurred, and how experts have authenticated the varieties that make them worth big money. So sit back and imagine holding a coin that looks ordinary at first glance but under close inspection reveals a story of precision gone wrong, of technology faltering just slightly to create something so rare that collectors across the world are willing to pay millions to own it. The 2015 Lincoln Cent, featuring the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse designed by Victor David Brenner and the Union Shield on the reverse designed by Lyndall Bass, was produced in the billions at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. But what many people don't realize is that even in such advanced times when the US Mint's technology was more precise than ever before, errors still happened, and when they did, they resulted in some of the most remarkable coins of the decade. The 2015 penny is one of those rare cases where modern minting met a perfect storm of mechanical misalignment, die deterioration, and planchet anomalies that produced coins so unique that they became million-dollar collectibles. One of the most famous varieties discovered from this year is the 2015 double die obverse penny, where careful inspection under magnification shows clear doubling in the inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, and even the date, 2015, creating a shadow-like effect that is both striking and unmistakable. And this doubling wasn't caused by post-mint damage or machine doubling but by a genuine double die, an error that originates during the hubbing process when the die itself receives two misaligned impressions from the design hub. And since dies with such an error continue striking thousands of coins before being replaced, a small batch of these rare double die pennies entered circulation, and collectors who spotted them were stunned, because strong double dies have historically become some of the most valuable coins in existence. And the 2015 example, due to its modern context and incredible clarity, immediately drew the attention of professional graders and auction houses, with high grade specimens authenticated by PCGS and NGC being valued into the millions. But that's just one type of error that makes this coin so valuable, because there are also 2015 pennies that exhibit off-center strikes, where the die struck the coin when it was not properly centered in the press, causing Lincoln's portrait or the shield to appear shifted dramatically, sometimes leaving a blank crescent of unstruck metal on one side. And if the date is fully visible on such a coin, collectors will pay an extraordinary premium, as those are visually stunning and rare. And then there are broad strike errors, where the retaining collar that holds the coin's edge in place during striking malfunctioned, allowing the metal to spread outwards, creating a larger and thinner coin without the usual raised rim. These broad strikes are particularly beautiful because they maintain all the design details but have a distinct warped look that immediately tells you something unusual happened. And high grade 2015 broadstrike pennies have been documented selling for thousands, with rumors of unique specimens with combined errors fetching private offers in the millions. And then we come to one of the most intriguing categories of 2015 penny errors, the missing plating and off-metal strikes. Since modern pennies are made from zinc cores coated with a thin layer of copper, if during the minting process the plating step goes wrong or the coin is struck on an unplated planchet, the resulting penny appears silver or grayish rather than red or brown. And collectors love these because they visually stand out, they're rare, and they offer a glimpse into the production side of the mint. Now, imagine finding a 2015 penny struck entirely on the wrong planchet, say on a dime or foreign coin blank. That would make it a double rarity, and indeed there have been verified cases of 2015 cents struck on dime planchets, smaller, lighter, and silvery in color, which make them extremely sought after. Because off-metal errors are among the most desirable types in numismatics, each one a one-of-a-kind accident that slipped through multiple quality control checks. And when you consider that such an error combines modern minting precision with an undeniable mistake, it's no wonder that collectors are willing to pay staggering sums. In fact, one of the key reasons the 2015 penny reached multimillion-dollar status is because of coins exhibiting more than one error type, such as a double die obverse combined with an off-metal strike or an off-center strike with missing copper plating. These compound errors are breathtaking because they multiply rarity exponentially, and with only a few known examples, it's estimated that the total number of high-grade 2015 error cents could be fewer than 20 pieces, making them even rarer than some 19th-century gold coins. And that scarcity drives the astronomical value. But beyond these mint errors, there's also the fascinating story of how the 2015 production year coincided with some major transitions at the mint, as machinery upgrades, die replacements, and new automated processes were being implemented, which created a narrow window where mechanical misalignments and calibration issues could easily lead to unique results, and that's exactly what seems to have happened. According to several numismatic researchers who analyzed error patterns from both Philadelphia and Denver strikes, some of the 2015 errors share common microscopic markers, suggesting they originated from a specific batch of dies or presses that were slightly misaligned or improperly seated during setup, meaning these multimillion-dollar pennies all trace back to a very small number of machines, possibly even a single press, and that traceability makes them even more exciting to collectors. It's like having a fingerprint of mint history preserved forever in metal. And when grading companies authenticate such coins, they document every microscopic detail, including die markers, metal flow lines, and striking pressure evidence, to confirm authenticity, and once confirmed, the price skyrockets because collectors know they are holding a genuine, documented error that cannot be replicated. And while some of these coins have changed hands privately for undisclosed amounts, insiders in the numismatic community have hinted that at least one of the top-graded 2015 double-die pennies sold for close to $4 million, setting a record for a modern 1-cent coin. Now let's talk about the visual features that make these errors recognizable to anyone checking their change. For the 2015 double die, look closely at the letters of Liberty and In God We Trust. On genuine examples the doubling is prominent and spread evenly rather than appearing flat or shelf-like as it does on machine doubling. The lines are crisp and distinct, almost as if there are two impressions slightly overlapping, and that's a hallmark of a true double die. Meanwhile, on the reverse, the Union Shield may show faint doubling along the upper ribbons or stripes, although not all varieties display that, and in addition to doubling, pay attention to color variations because missing plating errors make the coin look distinctly dull or grayish compared to normal copper pennies, sometimes even partially plated, giving it a two-tone effect, and those partial plating errors are rare and visually dramatic, especially when combined with other striking anomalies, and as for off-center or broad-struck examples, those are immediately noticeable since the design elements are misplaced or stretched, and collectors particularly love when the date remains visible on an off-center strike because that preserves its identity. Without the date the coin loses much of its value. Now, while the majority of 2015 pennies are perfectly ordinary, the few that escaped with these incredible errors became icons of modern minting, not only because of their value but because they prove that even in a high-tech world, human error and mechanical imperfection can create beauty and rarity. It's this mix of chance and craftsmanship that defines numismatics, the study of coins, and fuels the passion of collectors who spend countless hours examining rolls of change under magnifiers, hoping to find that one elusive piece that could change their lives. And the 2015 penny has become the perfect symbol of that dream, a modern treasure that reminds everyone that even the smallest details can make the biggest difference. And what's even more exciting is that such coins can still be out there, undiscovered, sitting in jars, drawers, or piggy banks, waiting for someone to recognize their potential. After all, most of these errors were not intentionally saved when released. Last 2022 1-cent coin, we uncover hidden treasures in everyday coins, and today's story will blow your mind because we're diving deep into the fascinating tale of the 2022 1-cent coin that stunned the numismatic world when certain rare examples were discovered to have extraordinary minting errors that made them worth as much as $3 million. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that most people would overlook as just another penny in their pocket change could actually be worth more than luxury cars, mansions, and even some rare gemstones, all because of tiny mistakes that occurred during the minting process, mistakes that turned ordinary metal into priceless artifacts of American minting history. So welcome everyone and get ready to learn about the 2022 Lincoln cent, the unbelievable errors that make it so valuable, and how you can identify if you might be holding one of these multi-million-dollar treasures in your hands right now. Now the 2022 1-cent coin might look like just another modern penny at first glance, with the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse designed by Victor David Brenner and the Union Shield reverse design created by Lyndall Bass, which has been used since 2010, but hidden beneath its surface lies a world of possibilities, anomalies, and minting mysteries that make this coin one of the most discussed modern issues among collectors. And the reason it stands out is not only because of the extremely rare minting errors but also because of the year itself, 2022 was a year of heavy coin production as the U.S. Mint tried to meet the post-pandemic circulation demand, running presses at maximum capacity, which increased the chances of mechanical fatigue, die deterioration, and planchet misfeeds, all of which can result in unique errors, and among the billions of 2022 pennies produced at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, a handful came out dramatically different, and those few became legends, some bearing doubled dies, others struck on wrong planchets, some off-center, and a few with missing layers or reverse design issues, each one turning into a collector's obsession. So let's unravel how these fascinating errors happened and why they're worth millions. One of the most talked about and valuable varieties from 2022 is the doubled die obverse penny, where the doubling is visible around the inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, and sometimes even the date, 2022, under magnification. The letters appear as if they were struck twice slightly out of alignment, and this isn't a result of damage or wear but a genuine hubbing error where the die received two misaligned impressions from the master design, creating a doubled image that's faithfully transferred onto every coin that die strikes. This kind of error is incredibly rare in modern minting because technology has improved to minimize such mistakes, but when it happens it immediately becomes a high-value collectible, and the 2022 double die examples that have surfaced so far have sent shockwaves through the collector community, some authenticated by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC with sharp details and brilliant luster, and those top-grade coins have been appraised and privately traded for millions, with the finest known examples estimated to be worth around $3 million due to their exceptional rarity, strong doubling, and pristine condition. But the double die isn't the only error type that makes the 2022 penny special. There are also examples of dramatic off-center strikes where the coin was struck when it wasn't properly aligned in the press, resulting in Lincoln's portrait being shifted far to one side, leaving a large blank crescent of metal on the opposite edge. Collectors adore such errors, especially when the date remains visible, because it proves authenticity. And these off-center strikes from 2022 have fetched thousands in circulated condition and tens of thousands in uncirculated condition, and a few that combine off-center strikes with other anomalies like die cracks or missing plating have been reported to reach even higher prices. Now, speaking of plating, one of the more visually striking errors from 2022 involves the missing copper layer, since modern pennies are composed of a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper to give them their traditional reddish appearance. If that copper layer is missing entirely or partially due to a malfunction in the plating process, the result is a silvery colored penny that looks nothing like normal cents. Collectors call these unplated or missing plating errors, and they're extremely popular, especially when they occur in pristine condition. And for the 2022 issue, a few of these unplated zinc pennies have been discovered still bright and lustrous, some displaying partial copper coverage where one side is copper colored and the other silvery zinc, and that visual contrast makes them spectacular showpieces commanding enormous value. But the real jaw-droppers among the 2022 pennies are the off-metal strikes, those rare instances where a 1-cent design was accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination or even a foreign coin. Imagine a 2022 penny struck on a dime planchet, slightly smaller and made of a different metal composition, resulting in a thinner, lighter, silvery coin with the Lincoln design partially cut off by the smaller surface area. These off-metal errors are some of the rarest and most valuable because they represent a complete breakdown of minting protocol, and when they are discovered, collectors and experts go into a frenzy, especially if the coin is in uncirculated or mint state condition. Since so few survive, each one is effectively unique, and that uniqueness pushes prices into the hundreds of thousands or even millions. Another captivating error found on certain 2022 pennies is the die clash, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, transferring part of the design from one die to the other and creating ghostly outlines of the opposite design on both sides of the coin. These clash marks can produce fascinating patterns, like faint traces of the Union shield appearing behind Lincoln's head or parts of the obverse motto showing on the reverse fields, and the best examples of such errors can fetch huge premiums, because they are visually dramatic and serve as direct evidence of an accident that occurred inside the mint presses. Die clashes from 2022 have been found with remarkable clarity and have become favorites among error collectors, adding another dimension of value to this already fascinating series. And yet the story doesn't end there, because there are also examples showing die cracks and cuts. Raised blobs or lines of metal that form when parts of the die break or crack under pressure, these imperfections give each coin a unique fingerprint and some collectors specialize solely in finding and cataloging these break patterns. The 2022 pennies with large rim cuts or dramatic die cracks that run across Lincoln's portrait or the Union Shield are particularly striking and highly desirable, with some selling for thousands even in circulated condition, and since die cracks expand with continued use, each stage of the error is different, making them collectible in sequence by advanced hobbyists who enjoy tracing the progression of die damage. Now, combine all these error types: double dies, off-center strikes, off-metal errors, missing plating, die clashes, and cuts, and you can begin to see how certain 2022 pennies might exhibit multiple mistakes simultaneously, creating what collectors call compound errors, and those are the real treasures, because each additional error exponentially increases rarity. And when a coin has more than one error type and is preserved in perfect condition, it becomes priceless. Some of these multi-error 2022 pennies have already been valued at over $2 million, and experts believe that the few finest examples could reach or exceed $3 million in private sales, making them some of the most valuable modern coins ever struck. Now, what makes this story even more fascinating is how the 2022 production year was marked by extraordinary minting pressures. With new die sets being installed rapidly and machinery running almost non-stop to replenish coin circulation, this increased speed led to more mechanical stress and microscopic shifts that produced small but significant varieties, and since the US Mint doesn't usually release exact numbers of how many error coins escaped into circulation, we can only estimate that the total population of major 2022 error cents might be fewer than a few dozen for the rarest varieties, meaning that finding one today is like winning a lottery of luck and observation, and what keeps the excitement alive is that these coins are modern enough to still be out there in everyday circulation, in rolls from banks, in cash registers, in coin jars at home, waiting for someone with a keen eye to discover them, and that's why coin enthusiasts across the country have been closely inspecting their 2022 pennies ever since rumors of the million-dollar errors surfaced. Some using magnifying lenses and high-resolution macro photography to check details invisible to the naked eye, because one small deviation in letter spacing, color, or design alignment can be the key to identifying a rare minting blunder. And what's even more incredible is that even subtle differences on these coins can mean the difference between a common penny and one worth millions.